First, are you a sort of a person? Do you wear a glass eye, false teeth, or a crutch, a brace or a hook, rubber breasts or a rubber crotch? Stitches to show something's missing? No? No? Then how can we give you a thing? Stop crying. Open your hand. Empty? Empty. Here is a hand to fill it and willing to bring teacups and roll away headaches and do whatever you tell it. Will you marry it? It is guaranteed to thumb shut your eyes at the end and dissolve of sorrow. We make new stock from the salt. I notice you're stark naked. How about this suit? Black and stiff, but not a bad fit. Will you marry it? It is waterproof, shatterproof, proof against fire and bombs through the roof. Believe me, they'll bury you in it. Now your head, excuse me, is empty. I have the ticket for that. Come here, sweetie, out of the closet. Well, what do you think of that? Naked as paper to start. But in 25 years, she'll be silver, in 50 gold. A living doll everywhere you look. It can sew, it can cook, it can talk. It works, there's nothing wrong with it. You have a hole, it's a poultice. You have an eye, it's an image. My boy, it is your last resort. Will you marry it, marry it, marry it? I'm starting this script right after watching Red Light on the Wedding Night, the 4th episode of the 2nd season of Gilmore Girls. For the uninitiated, and assuming there can be no spoilers 23 years after the show has aired, the episode sees the show's protagonist, Lorelai, impulsively call off her wedding after a series of conversations and the resulting epiphanies about what it means to be married. One of those questions with no single right answer but plenty of wrong ones. And in 1950s America, when Sylvia Plath was married, all those wrong ones were made out to be the perfect reasons. The 1950s American housewife is no longer a relic of the past or a stranger to pop culture, not least because we seem to live in frankly troubling times of trad wife resurgence. The woman was to be the goddess of the household, sacrificial mother supreme, and the pleasantly scented, airy-headed, skirt-stiletto lipstick wife that greets her hard-working husband with a smile and kiss by evening. What makes this a confessional poem in the true sense of the term is that she wrote it on the same day that her husband, Ted Hughes, left her and their children for the other woman. In her typical style, the poem is written in short and sharp bursts, employs unflinching language, and builds itself up on a foundation of curious but powerful images. The speaker in the poem is a salesman for an agency that offers to assist the mutilated. He asks his customer if he's their sort of person and then scans his body for evidence: glass eyes, false teeth, crutches, rubber breasts, stitches. When there is nothing of that kind, he asks how he can ever be helped here. The man is crying and he's asked to open his hand. His hand, presumably the ring finger, is empty. At this point, a woman is introduced. Well, not as much a woman as a human being with the pronouns and features of a shiny new product on the market. This product will bring him teacups and make his headaches go away and do whatever else is asked of it. And if he were to marry it, it would stay with him till his very end, close his eyes with its thumb, and then dissolve of sorrow. Because when the owner passes, what meaning is left for the product's existence? The salesman speaker then says they make new stock from the salt, a slight at the perpetuation of the housewife culture across generations. One woman dies, another takes her place. At this point, the attention shifts back to the customer or applicant. He's stark naked and offered marriage to a stiff black suit that will protect him from water, fire, and bombs alike, and also serve as his burial costume. And while this pivot may appear confusing and irrelevant in the broader context, I look at it as furthering the point Plath seeks to make about marriage: a transactional and exhibitionist charade, nothing more than a shopping decision. The 6th stanza opens with the couplet, "Now your head, excuse me, is empty. I have to take it for that." A couplet that is a brilliant, satirical, ironic twist on the glorification of the intellectually impaired airhead wife. And then the wife comes out. She is naked as paper to start, a paper in which to impose your ideas of what's right, what's wrong, what's acceptable, what's not. Just the right kind of paper. By the 25th and 50th anniversary, she'll be as good as silver and gold. The final 8 lines of the poem are the salesperson's final big push for the sale. A sewing, cooking, talking doll that's always around, the very picture of perfection, a lost man's only chance at regaining life, a panacea that'll heal him, please him. Marry it, marry it, marry it, won't you? This poem made me furious, which I suppose was what it was written to do. This is a poem with its excesses shaved off, and every word of the little that remains is sharp as a syringe. The writing is very intentional. The continuous objectification, the repetition, the usage of the incredibly condescending sweetie. Now, for all the leaps and bounds of progress that society has supposedly made, marriage is still, for the most part, a power imbalance eventuality that falls back on insubstantial stills, like women and men are not equal, or women were gatherers and men hunters, or that's how my mom did it to support what it seeks to make off or strip from a woman. In the bell jar, Sylvia Plath wrote, and I knew that in spite of all the roses and kisses and restaurant dinners a man showered on a woman before he married her, what he secretly wanted when the wedding service ended was for her to flatten out underneath his feet like Mrs. Willard's kitchen mat. Sylvia Plath was married in the 1950s. If you asked me, I'd say 70 years is a decent bit of time in which to evolve a long, long way from wanting a kitchen mat. And if it isn't, maybe marriage should be an option only for the fittest that do survive.